Welcome back to team training for the Oklahoma Housing Needs Assessment. The title of this lesson is Creating Features in ARCGIS. And this is part of our prototyping model flowchart here where we're exploring the GIS software and looking at data processing. So this lesson is actually a continuation of the lesson on building geodatabases. So if you haven't watched that, I would suggest maybe you look at it. I don't think it's essential that you look at it for this lesson, but it might give you some continuity in terms of what we're doing and looking at the different concepts that will be covered here. And if you remember, what we did in the building the geodatabase exercise was build a geodatabase and build layers and feature classes. But we didn't populate the feature classes with anything that we created, right? Maybe we imported some data, but otherwise they were just blank feature classes. And so this lesson is going to introduce you to creating features and editing features. I'm not going to cover everything this is a huge topic, but it's enough to get you started so you understand how to create and edit features. So let's get started. I'm going to change my share here, and we're going to go to ArcGIS. And so the first thing that I'm going to point out here is that I am using some of the getting to know ArcGIS data. This is exercise 15A, and you might recognize it because I have brought in all of the feature classes that we made last time in our geodatabase. That we have a parcel layer, which is this polygon layer that shows sort of the layout of a suburban neighborhood. And then we have point layers for water valves and fire hydrants. Giving them a little fire hydrant symbol here. And then we have the water lines layer. And if you remember last time, we created that layer, but it doesn't have any data in the layer. So I want to add some water lines here, okay? And so to do that, we're going to have to use another feature of ArcGIS called the editor. And we're interested in maybe connecting some of the water lines. I'm not going to connect them all, but here's where we're going to zoom in here. And I've got a bookmark for new water lines. And so you can kind of see here. And so here's a parcel, here's a bigger parcel. Here's some water valves. Here's a fire hydrant, right? Each of the valves has a label, which tells us the number for the valve and so on and so forth. And so what we want to do is we want to connect some of these together with water lines, okay? So if I open the attribute table, you'll see there's nothing in there, right? Okay. All right, so to do that, we're going to have to use our editor toolbar. And if you don't have it open, you can find it by going to Customize Toolbars, and it's just called Editor. Mine's already open. It creates a whole menu bar. You can see right now that whole menu bar is grayed out. I have to select Editor and the little drop down and say Start Editing, okay? And it takes a minute to start the editing. And now, one of the things that is very important that you need to remember when you're editing in ArcGIS is you're no longer just manipulating the map. You are manipulating the feature classes. So if I change the feature class here in this ArcMap file, it will change it in all of the feature class files. So if 7 other people are using the same feature classes, if I make changes, it will affect their maps as well, right? So you got to be very careful and cautious. And you also have to remember that you have to save your changes in the editor session. You can't just go up to File, Save. Okay, so those are very important. Now I've got a window over here, the Create Features window. If that's not open, you can open it here on the editor menu. So it's the last one there, Create Features. If I've already got it open, but it shows the different feature classes. We're going to select water lines, which is a line feature that we want to add some lines to. And so this tells me the construction tool, we're going to make lines. Okay, so you want to make sure that's set. The other thing is we're going to use snapping, and snapping is a very common tool used in a lot of graphics programs, particularly CAD programs like AutoCAD and Rhino and the like. And they've got it here in ArcGIS as well. And so I also have the snapping menu open here, but if yours is not open, you just go open the editor menu, go down to the bottom where it says snapping, and turn on the snapping toolbar. The snapping toolbar lets you select different elements to snap to. In this case, we're going to be snapping to points in a point layer. So I'm just going to select points. But you also could snap to the end of line segments, to vertices, and to edges. I'm going to turn all those off and just use the points tool. All right. And so we are now, ready to actually create a feature. And so I'm going to go up here and select the mouse pointer here, and I'm hold on a second. I got to have this line selected. Okay, here we go. And so now, if I put my select line under construction tools, I guess I didn't have that selected. Okay, and now you can see when we hover over a point, we get a little snap, right? And so I'm going to start up here at 763, and we'll just go here. Right. And now if I click once, it will rubber band and I can keep going, but that'll be one entity. OK, so if I double click, it makes the end of the line, which you can see is now selected. And then if I start another one from 813, go to 831, double click. And now I'm making different attributes. Right. Connect one to the fire hydrant. So there you go. That's about as simple as it is. Particularly when you have items to snap to, right? And this is a technique like I often will create if I have a lot of entities that I have to make. I'll make a whole layer where like maybe I'm tracing something. I'll go down and I'll put a bunch of points down so that I can use them when I'm constructing my geometry. Now you'll see there's lots of other different techniques, and that may not even be the most efficient technique, but it is a technique that is useful. All right, so one of the things that when we created this waterlines feature class is we created a field, an attribute field. And if I open up the attribute window, it's up in the editor menu here, third from the right, then you can see the waterline that is selected here is it's given an object ID, and the installation date is null. I could enter that if I want to. And I also have defined a domain here, the default being main, but this is a hydrant lateral. So I'm going to select that. And you can continue. So I just started another line that I inadvertently did not want. So if you do that, just right click and say delete sketch. I'm glad that happened because now you see how to get rid of them, right? Okay, so now I'm going to take my select tool, and you can see I can select another one, right? That's a main. And if I hold the shift key down, you can actually select multiple ones of these. So you can change, like if we wanted to change them to domestic lateral, we change them all at once. So that's a tremendous time saving for you in data entry and processing. All right. Now I'm done editing, so I'm going to say save my edits. And so now I can stop editing. And then I can save my map. And so now those changes are saved in the map as well as saved in the feature class. All right, so that's kind of the most basic way to create features. I'm going to open up the next exercise here in chapter 15, and it's got the parcel layer, but it also has a aerial image called subdivision image underneath it. And so What we're going to do here is we're going to create some parcels, which are polygons. And so these are a little bit more complicated than just, connect the dots, right? I'm going to zoom into this area here, and we're going to add a lot. And I'm going to go, this is first parcel site. And so you can kind of see, or it might be a little hard to see, this is lot number 2726. If I turn off the subdivision image, you can see that the parcels have these lot numbers displayed. And now I have to go back and start the editor again. There you go. And open up my create features. And there's only parcels here this time. And we're going to do an autocomplete polygon, which will become, it will self-explain itself as I demonstrate here. And for snapping, we want to use the vertices and not the points. So I'm just selecting that. And now we want to build a lot here. And so I'm going to start here on this sort of northern corner of lot 2734. Click there. And now you'll see I'm rubber banding. Okay. And now I want to make this line parallel here to this. So I'm going to put my cursor on the line, right click, and select parallel. And now you can see it rubber bands along that line. And so this is real handy. If I right click again, I get that context menu. It has lots of options. Again, I'm not going to be able to go through every one of these, but I think they're pretty self-explanatory. You can figure them out if you are drawing things and exploring, pretty quickly. So I want to enter a length here, and I happen to know my length is 117 meters. And then I'm going to go down here to the northern corner of 2726, and I'm going to double click that one. And you can see that is the autocomplete feature, right? So it followed the lines of the adjacent polygons. And so that's the difference between a regular old plain old polygon and an autocomplete polygon. So if we take our arrow, we can click away from it there. Now, that was a lot that was attached. What if we wanted to create a parcel that was sort of free floating? And for that, I'm going to go back to my bookmarks and go to the second parcel site. And you can see we have a big lot here, 2707, and a smaller lot, 2719. And let's say that I'm going to turn my subdivision image on. You can see that like the streets are laid out to continue here, and there's sidewalks. So like, what if we had a lot right there? We could have a lot right there immediately. So how do I make that? Okay, and it's a little bit more involved. And so in this case, we're going to go to the parcel layer, and we're going to click just regular old polygon. And now up here on my editor toolbar, you're going to see there are different tools available to you. And I'm going to look for the sketch tool here. Where is the sketch tool? I think it's this one. All right. It says, yeah, there it is. It's called Trace. And here you have various options. And this one, distance. So it lets me like offset distances from two different points. I think that's what I'm going to try here. Okay. And so now I can select this parcel, and it will rubber band a circle. And it wants to know the radius of the circle, or in this case, it uses D for distance. And I can, if I hit D on the keyboard, that just brings up my distance box. Very useful, 61.1. All right, and then on this one up here at the northeast corner of 2707, I click, and now you can see another circle is rubber banding. And for this one, I want to put in 119.4. So I got to hit distance, 119.4. And now you can see that the two circles intersect, and there's actually 2 points you could choose from. I'm going to pick this one right here because that's the one on the east side of the street, and it puts down a point. Okay, and so it's basically finding a point in space, but it hasn't created the polygon yet. For that, I got to go back up to create feature, and I'm going to use straight segments. And now you can see it's already rubber banding from that placeholder that I put down. Then I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say direction, right? And I'm going to put in 73.4. So that's measured from east being 0, right? So this is in degrees. And then I'm going to go and right click again and give a length. And the length I'm going to uses 54.87. And again, this, I could have used the distance tool, just hit D again, but I'm just showing you different ways that you can do this. And, let's right click again and go direction. This time we're going to go negative 15.72. And now it's rubber banding a triangle. And so now I need a length again. We'll go 117. And now I'm going to show you a real nice feature. So we got a triangle here. If I pull away from that and right click and go square and finish, boom, it draws two parallel lines and makes a nice rectangular lot out of the deal. Okay, so this is how you make your polygons. Again, I haven't covered every possible permutation of this. There's lots of different ways to do it. And I encourage you to explore making different pieces. I'm not sure we're going to make too many features ourselves. We're using a lot of other people's data in our project, but in case you are interested in this, it's kind of fun to play around and see what you can create. All right, I'm going to hit the editor and go stop editing. Yes, I want to save my edits. And now I'm going to open up another exercise to show you after you have some features made, you may want to edit them, okay? And so this is, we're going to start with the simplest, which is kind of like deleting some of the features. So I'm going to zoom in on these two lots here. And it's the first parcel site. And let's say, let me turn off the image again, 27, 18, 27, 12. We want to delete those. All right, so first we need to start editing again. And we want parcels, right? And you just take your little arrow here and you click inside anywhere, hold the shift down, and you can get both of them. And then you just hit your delete button and presto, they're gone, right? You could also hit the erase button on the toolbar, which is, well, it's nothing selected right now, but it's up here on the main toolbar. All right, so that's how you delete stuff. That's pretty easy. And then if you want to go to our second parcel site, we're going to zoom in down here on the southern edge of the site. I think I got that saved too, right? And you can see there's a sidewalk here and it curves and there's like a culvert that goes underneath here. And you can see our property lines are kind of messed up here. So let's say we wanted to edit the polygons to follow the sidewalk essentially. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, basically you take your select tool, and if we select that polygon once, it will turn cyan. And if we click it, double click it, it will now show the grips for the vertices. And you want to make sure vertices is set on your snap. And we're going to hover over that till you see the four-headed arrow, right? And I'm forgetting something here. Edit vertices will show up here. It's this little toolbar, and this will let you modify sketch vertices, and we can then pull that down like so, right? And you can see it shows the old location and the new. I can hit up and edit vertices. I can add subtract vertices. So if I click there, this is I'm going to add one and then I'm going to pull it over here, right? This is very similar to editing a polyline or p-edit in AutoCAD if you've ever done that. When I'm done, I select my edit arrow and just click away from it. Now you say, well, that's great. That looks good. But what about over here where we have two parcels that meet? Now I could edit each one individually. But ARCGIS has a method to edit that, and it's called using topology. And so if I go to customize toolbars and go down here to topology, you'll get another toolbar. There's lots of toolbars. And with that, I'm going to click the map topology button here, and we're going to select parcels. And I think that's all I need to do. And yeah, so I hit OK here, and then we're going to use the topology edit tool. So all this is very similar, but if you're gonna move connected parts, right, connected topology, you need to use this. So you have to click right on the vertices, and it shows a little pink dot there, and you can see now I can drag it, and when it drags it, it modifies both polygons. So that is really useful. And this topology, I should point out, is only valid, during one edit session, right? So they're not stuck together forever. Okay. All right, I'm going to close that down. And so now you kind of know how to modify things. I'm going to open up the next exercise here, and save the edits. Yes. And you got to remember, every time you do an edit session, you have to start editing and stop editing and save your edits. Now, in this one, we're going to split and merge some features, right? And so I'm going to zoom in here on the end of this large lot and turn off my subdivision. And I'm going to carve off a lot here on the end. And so what we want to do here is double click that, and now it will show you where all of the vertices are. And I'm going to use this vertice and this vertice. And if it doesn't have a vertice where you want it, then you have to go in here and edit vertices. Okay. And we're going to select cut polygons tool, right? And again, make sure our vertex snapping is on, and we're going to go from this one to this one, and double click, and there you go, and it splits it into two. And you'll notice it gave it the same identification number, right? And if we want to change that, I can take my edit tool and just select the end one, and then hit attributes. And then I can just go in here and like 4001, right? So it's very simple. It creates a whole new entity. Okay, now let's go to our next site. And we're looking here at 2855 and 2861. And you can see that there's like one house built on that. So we want to, merge the lot. And to do this, it's a little bit different. I'm not sure how all this evolved. The editor tool, I think, may have evolved over time, and they ended up, the programmers put things in different spots. But for merge, we're going to go down here, and we're going to first select each lot, hold the shift key down, and then we're going to go to editor, and then we're going to go to merge, which is one of the options here, and choose which feature to be merged, right? And so you can see over here in the attribute window for object 1417, it has parcel ID at 2855. So that's what I'm going to use. Hit OK, and boom, it merges the feature, right? And so this is how you would go about modifying parcels and other geometry, and there's lots of things you can do here. Again, I'm not going to try to cover all of them. I think you all kind of get the idea here. We also, I just showed you how you can edit an attribute, but I also want to show you that during an edit session, you can edit the attribute tables, right? And so I'm going to right click on the parcel and open the attribute table. And you can see here that we have, it's a polygon layer, parcel IDs, and we've got the shape area in square feet, but let's say we wanted that in acres. How would we do that? Well, we just hit the table options and we say, hey, we want to add a field. Now, the thing about it is we're in an edit session. So I got to save the edits, stop the editing, right? Then I can add a field. It won't let you add a field while I'm in the edit session. Sorry. Okay. And then I'm going to give it a name like acres. And we're going to make this a floating point type, which is a sort of a computer mathematical term. Whenever you hear floating or floating point, that just means it's a number with a decimal. And we're going to hit OK there. And so it makes that new layer, they're all null, right? And I think I've probably demonstrated this already before, but to calculate the acres, we right click on this and we hit the field calculator, and it says you're about to calculate outside of an edit session. Do you want to? Yes. And so the shape area, divide by 43,560 square feet. That's how many in an acre. Hit OK. And then it thinks for a little bit. There you go. And so now we got the shape area in square feet and in acres, which is probably more typical when you're dealing with a parcel layer. All right, so that's an introduction to creating and editing features. For our next lesson, we're actually going to move on and look at like preparing maps for export, and we'll start with maps that you're going to print out. But I mean, these could also be uploaded. So stay tuned.